Hello dudes, Axel here. Welcome back to another, not welcome back, welcome to another Linux video. Originally this was going to be a video in general, like on my favorite desktop environments and whatnot, but I had kind of a failed recording of this earlier because I was having some recording issues again, because I guess it was stuff with OBS settings. Don't worry about it, it should be good now. Should be. Anyway, it kind of, as I was doing the other one before, I realized the recording problems, which basically it just led to choppy frame rates and whatnot. But anyway, as I was doing that, it kind of devolved more into a sort of why I like GNOME talk anyway, so that's what I decided I'm going to turn this into. I'm still going to talk about other desktop environments as well a little bit in this, as I will be comparing GNOME to them. But this is why I like GNOME. So, first off, I'm going to take you back to about the beginning of 2016, somewhere around there roughly. That was about the time that I first installed a Linux distribution on my computer. I'm pretty sure the first one I installed was Linux Mint. And at the time, it was Linux Mint 17.3. I had, like, no problems with it, so that was a great first impression of Linux, as a bit of an aside there. But after that, I was like, me being me, liking to try new and cool-looking things, I decided to install stock Ubuntu, tried out Unity for a bit. Did not like it on a multi-monitor setup. Emphasis on multi-monitor setup, though. And so, not too long after that, I went and installed GNOME instead, and all was pretty good there. For the most part. Aside from some Ubuntu-specific issues that I don't even remember the specifics of, but I do remember having some. But anyway, that being said, I am currently running GNOME on my Solus machine here. Now, nothing against Budgie. I do still like Budgie. It's just, it doesn't have certain features that I like to use a lot with my workflow. But going in to start off with why I like GNOME here, like, this was one of the first things, the activities overview was one of the first things that I saw with GNOME. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, that looks awesome. What is this? I want to use it. Because, like, the great thing with the activities overview is at just the press of one key, the super key, or Windows key, or meta key, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it super key. You just get all your windows all nice and neatly spread out. You get all your workspaces on the right here, and the workspaces are dynamic. They're created as you need them, which is fantastic. And by default, you'll have the regular, I guess, dash on the left here. I like to use dash to dock, though, because I like just having the stuff visible, especially with the adaptive theme. Well, actually, you can just make it transparent with dash to dock anyway, but I'm using the adaptive theme with Papyrus icons for those wondering. But anyway, yeah, I mostly have all these windows open to demonstrate this, that, like, this is one of the things that I, like, obviously, it's never going to be on the level as the GNOME activity view, but a lot of other desktop environments do still have, like, a window spread or expose sort of thing. Like, Unity has it, Cinnamon has it, Pantheon has it, KDE has it. I'm sure others do, but that is one of my favorite things, because this is just so much nicer than, okay, Alt-Tab, where's the thing I'm looking for? I'm looking for weather, even though that's what I already had. I'm looking for text editor. Like, being able to just hit one key and be like, okay, let's see. There's my files. That's my recordings folder. Right. This is just so much nicer. So much nicer than alt-tabbing trying to find stuff. So I love that about GNOME. And like I said earlier, yes, other desktop environments do have something similar. Like, in the past, I've mentioned KDE Plasma is, like, very much up there with my favorite desktop environments. As I've been doing this, though, I don't know if I'm going to give it the number one spot. If anything, I might have it tied with GNOME. More on that later. But, KDE Plasma, that does have like a Windows spread sort of thing, but I'm not really sure how to like explain it well. But with GNOME, the activities overview here, like everything is just very nice and neatly laid out, whereas with like Plasma's Windows spread is just kind of feels haphazard and just harder to find things for some reason. It's just GNOME has it a lot better. GNOME has it much better, and not to mention, as I said earlier, like in the same view, you also see all your workspaces on the right side, and that's just so convenient, so handy, so different from a traditional style of desktop like what you get with Windows or like Cinnamon, Mate, Budgie by default nowadays. It's very different, but it's one of the things that really got me hooked on Linux in the first place. So that being said, I'm going to close Kdenlive here because I don't need that open at all. That being said, one of the first, like, there's a particular video that first really got me looking at things, because before I ever actually installed any Linux distribution, like about probably somewhere around 2014, because I think I remember Ubuntu 14.10 being available at the time that I was looking at it. Anyway, at that time, Ubuntu, I don't know if they still have it, but at the time they had like a browser-based thing where you could actually try out Unity in your browser. And I did at the time, and I was like, this is weird, but I kind of like it. And yeah. So that was my first ever look at anything, like any Linux desktop. So I knew nothing outside of Ubuntu and Unity and all that stuff. I'm very glad I'm much more knowledgeable about things nowadays. But back at the time, it was like, okay, this is weird, but pretty cool. Excuse me. And then this video here was published March 12th, 2015. I think I watched it at the time, but that's kind of weird though, because like this is March 12th, 2015, but I first installed a Linux distro towards the end of 2015 or beginning 2016. Anyway, this video, it's by Tech Syndicate, Logan's Linux Log. Can you tell where I got Axel's Linux Log from? Anyway, yeah, I kind of accidentally stole it from that. To be fair, I've done more than just one episode. They've only done one.
Ubuntu.
But anyway,
I decided to go with that flavor because I guess
this, like him showing off GNOME in this video was like one of the things that really got me interested, because I was like, what the fuck? That looks awesome. And so it was sometime a little bit after this, because it was probably shortly after viewing this, although I guess I viewed it way after it went up, or maybe I might have gone back to this when I decided to install Ubuntu for the first time. Anyway, after having watched this video, I might link it in the description below. If I forget to and you guys want a link to it, be sure to let me know in the comments. Anyway, saw that, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So eventually, later on, I finally installed Ubuntu. Like I said, tried Unity. Do not like Unity very much on a multi-monitor setup, but then I installed GNOME after, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And that was the beginning of my Linux journey. Started with Ubuntu, stock Ubuntu with GNOME installed, later switched to Ubuntu GNOME, and at the time, the 15.10 version of Ubuntu GNOME, I kept having like minor issues with it, like nothing too major. It was just like an error window popping up, or something about like Plymouth. I don't know what the hell that is. I'm pretty sure I had that same thing the last time I tried installing Ubuntu GNOME. But yeah, other than that, it ran fine. But anyway, ever since then, I have been a fan of the GNOME desktop. Now, I do, of course, also love KDE Plasma, because I love how customizable it is, and how I love how customizable KDE Plasma is. I love a lot of things with it. Its default theme is a hell of a lot better than GNOME's. Definitely give it that. But it's fine to actually use, of course. Like it's by default a traditional style desktop, and you can customize it however the hell you feel like, and that's great. But still just really like the workflow that I can achieve with GNOME. And it's weird because I wish that we could get, because one of the main things that I really love with Plasma is like, while I do love the desktop itself, it's also a lot of the default applications. Like Plasma's volume and like sound controls and stuff are basically on par with Pulse Audio volume control. Not quite there, but pretty close. And yeah, pretty much. Like it's pretty damn good. Whereas other desktops are not quite up there. So Pulse Audio volume control is kind of a must. There's also KDE Connect. So like with the Plasma desktop, it's really, I like a lot of the applications that Plasma has and other things integrated with their desktop more so than using the desktop itself, which I do still like. But with GNOME, I love using the desktop environment, but a lot of other stuff they do is, I don't know, kind of questionable, because I've always heard that like with GTK updates, it tends to break previous versions a lot, and that's kind of lame. So I don't know, it's weird. Like I like both GNOME and Plasma. I'm not the biggest fan of GTK based on stuff I hear about it, but I like Qt applications and stuff built with that, because that's also like cross-platform, which is great, which definitely a good thing for Linux users. But I don't know, I'm not going to talk too much on that because I'm not very knowledgeable on that part of it. But yeah, anyway, compared to Budgie, like I was saying, the biggest thing missing from Budgie for me is like some sort of window spread would be pretty cool. But again, nothing else is really going to get on the level that GNOME has this sort of thing, because like this is GNOME's thing, and this is like my favorite thing about it. It's just because GNOME is also in general less configurable, which is probably also a good thing because you get less distracted. But it's like, I guess with Plasma, I like tweaking things with it, and then with GNOME, it's just better to actually use in a way. So, anyway, this has been a pretty rambly one. As I said, I'm going to eventually do a standalone, this is my setup sort of thing. But quick recap though, GNOME 3, still on Solus, of course. Love Solus. Solus is the best. Go Solus. Papyrus icons, adapt to theme, looks fantastic. And that's about all I can think of to say for this one. As always, questions, comments, down below the video. Make sure to like, consider subscribing, all that good stuff if you so choose. Till next time, this has been Axel. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you dudes in the next one.